Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this January the 5th, a Friday, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Now, if you haven't pushed the like button and the thumbs up button, push it now. It's right down here, just below the thing, my video. Anyway, and subscribe and push the notification icon as well. Let's get started. I got a pretty good show for you guys today. First thing I'm looking at here is recession. Federal Reserve is done talking about recession. Now, just because they're done talking about it, look at him pursing his lips. Just because they're done talking about it doesn't mean we're not. It's the consumer out there. It's the average Joe that's in a recession. Not the financial system. They're being pumped full of funny money. So it's Wall Street is being pumped full of funny money. And Main Street is tapped out at this point. Federal Reserve officials seem to have stopped talking about recession as the threat has faded. Yeah, because they know they're going to start to lower interest rates pretty soon, and they're going to start to pump money in for this new election cycle. Let's move on. Take a look at this. Is the United States ready for war? It says the United States is woefully unprepared to supply a long war. First, the Russian military was not as powerful as the world had believed. Second, the United States and its allies were woefully unprepared to support a protracted land war. In other words, conventional warfare. Supply problems and stockpile issues. The crux of the problem for the United States starts with the country's inability to produce 155 millimeter shell ammunition. Now, Russia is having problems too with shells. And North Korea provided them with a tremendous amount of shells just recently to continue in their war effort. This was this trip that Kim Jong-un made from North Korea on his very slow-moving, bulletproof train, his green train. I think that's a beautiful train. I just love his train. Man, I'm telling you, it just goes slow. It just, because it's so heavy. It's all armor plated, but it's luxury. It's a beautiful, beautiful way to travel. So he traveled to Russia, and Russia is supplying North Korea with food now. And believe it or not, North Korea, the people in North Korea right now are probably eating much better than they have for quite a while, because they got all this extra food coming in. But they also supplied the Russians with these shells. But the United States, are they ready? There are problems with them producing, everything here in America. We've got used to not producing anything except debt. We produce debt. We produce lots and lots and oodles of debt. What does the next one say here? This is a sec. 155 millimeter shells. Evidently, that's what they look like. And they can't produce enough of them. I saw this coming for years. It comes from a reliance upon nuclear weapons. That's what it comes from. At the end of World War II, the Allied forces were in full production mode. I mean, they could have handled the production of any military aspect. The United States was producing weapons, this is conventional weapons, high, wide, and handsome. So was Europe. They were prepared. But what happened was they got all these nuclear weapons. They stockpiled them, and I think the thinking was, well, we don't need quite as much conventional armaments if we've got all these nuclear weapons as a deterrent. I think that's what the thinking or logic was. And also, America shipped most of its factory production offshore. It was a sucking sound of these other places, especially China, taking up the gauntlet of producing all these American goods. And this is how they got such a big trade deficit. I could get bogged down in this topic, but there's a new superpower rising in Europe. And it's kind of unexpected. It's Poland. It says Poland is a country that's often overlooked in the grand scheme of power politics of the continent. But this Eastern European nation has been on the rise for the last 3 decades, and some experts believe that Warsaw could be the capital of the region's next major superpower. Oh, there's a picture of a Polish street right there. It says life in Poland has changed drastically ever since the independence and fall of the Soviet Union. So they're a growing superpower. Now, in France, right now, the French supermarkets are boycotting Pepsi Cola and Company due to unacceptable price increases. What they consider unacceptable price increases. Evidently, they're pulling this same old racket in France of shrinkflation. In other words, they make their bag of chips a lot smaller, and then they raise the price to it at the same time. And what kind of price raises we're looking at here? It's talking about Lay's, Doritos, Crisps, 7-Up drinks, and such, and Lipton tea, and so on. We are no longer selling this brand due to unacceptable price increases. It's a big chain. Maybe some of you guys haven't heard of it here in the United States. It's called Carrefour. 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 Maybe I'm not pronouncing that quite right, but it's a huge chain over in Europe, all through Europe. And they're pulling them off the shelves because the food price rose at an annualized rate of 7.1% last month. So they're going up like it's a rate of about, it says annualized, but it was a jump of 7% right across just 1 month, likely. They said the food prices rose at an annualized rate of 7.1% last month. So it could be a little bit confusing there, but they're raising, suffice to say, they're raising the prices. And France is saying, okay, no. This is something that is intrinsic now. It's all of the food makers and food manufacturers in the United States, everywhere, have gotten into this mode of just jacking the price up. Jacking the price up every month. Jacking the price up every month. And once they get into that mode, it's hard to break them from it. No matter what the economy's doing. So, I mean, it could be a big blow up in the economy, and you'll still see your bag of potato chips go from $3.49 to $3.89 in a month. And plus the shrinkflation, they reduce the size at exactly the same time. Now, talking about India right now. India, Russia, and China, the trilateral threat they're talking about here. Well, hold on a minute. Excuse me. Hold on a minute here. India right now is kind of like in a situation where, say there was a schoolyard, and say there was 10 young men in the schoolyard, and 4 young men decided that they were going to be on Team A. And the other four young men decided they were going to be on Team B. And there's this one kid there, and he ain't on either team quite yet, and both sides, they were all his friends on both of these teams that formed, but now both teams hate one another, and they're trying to pulling on him. One's got him by one arm, one's got him by the other arm, and one side saying, you're with us, and the other side says, no, you're with them. And he's caught, that's what's called being trapped in the middle. India's being careful. Because there's a world division now. And there's a number of countries that are like caught in the middle of this thing. But suffice to say that they're hard on that one side. You're talking about Iran, North Korea, China, Russia. They're all very firm on that side over there. And then you've got other countries like France, the United States, England. And these are on the other side. This is a very dangerous situation for the world, because this is how nuclear wars begin. Quite seriously. Also, if war breaks out, how long are they going to be able to go with these low stockpiles of ammunition before it changes from conventional? When all those guns run out of ammunition to pile into the gun, how do they fight then? They're not going to let the other side say, okay, we're going to march on into your country because you're out of ammunition. They're going to say, heck, we got something in reserve that we've had in reserve for a long time that we haven't used yet in warfare. By the way, it makes a mushroom cloud. Can you buy gold bars at Costco? Now, we've changed the subject again, and we're talking about gold bars at Costco. You guys probably all heard about this. Are they worth it, it says. Well, they're gold bars. Of course they're worth it. I would think that Costco would be a pretty good place to buy. I would trust them. I'd trust them more than I'd trust some of these other places. So you buy from Joe down the alley, and he's going to give you a great deal on these gold bars. Half off. Half price gold. You break the gold bar open, and inside you've got tungsten or something. But I don't think that would happen at Costco. I don't think. I mean, I'd be very surprised if it did. And it's probably, what are they? 1 ounce, 5 ounce? What's the biggest they sell? He says, Ron Williams, a retired Air Force production superintendent in Utah, usually buys gold investment coins and bars from his precious metals dealer. But when he found 1 ounce gold bars available at Costco wholesale website recently, he decided to give them a shot. They seem pretty competitive with other bullion dealers, says the 62-year-old Williams, and the shipping is free. Well, this is a good deal. Sounds like a good deal to me. I don't know. South Korea orders evacuation on the island near North Korea's border. This is because this island's been highly contested for a long time in North Korea, Did you guys know that the North Korean War never ended? It says Korean War ended in 1953, but no, it just kind of went into dormancy. That's what they've got this zone around North Korea that's a war zone. It's been a war zone all along. DMZ. Is it Dead Man's Zone or something? It's at any rate, it's an area where it's an area of land that separates them, and neither side crosses into that land because they're in no man's land there at that DMZ area around North Korea. And I find this interesting. It says the North Korean War ended in 1953. Hostilities ended. But from the way I understand it. Now, you guys, in the comment section, if I'm wrong about that and the North Korean War really did end in 1953, let me know. But what I've heard and the way I understand history is the war never really ended. It just it was an end of the hostilities to the direct. There was like a ceasefire sort of a thing, and the DMZ, that's around North Korea, and that's what I've heard. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Now, what about the big court case Donald Trump to the Supreme Court. You guys, I know a lot of you guys in my audience have really been keeping up on this story. And probably you've been listening to a lot of legal experts on both sides of the opinion, trying to get a handle on what the court's going to do. You've probably listened to dozens of legal experts if you're really into this. Probably a lot of people in my audience are. It says the Supreme Court of the United States has agreed to hear a number of important cases in early 2024, with several of them set for oral argument in January. It says it truly is, from the shared perspective of those of us who watch the court's every move, poised to be an exceptional month, with 4 cases and 1 elephant in the room ready to go. And they're talking about the Trump case. Let's deal with the elephant in the room first. The big wild card for January and for the next few months will be any and all cases related to former President Donald J. Trump in the 2024 election. The Supreme Court is poised to hear cases that could and should impact whether Trump is legally permitted to be on the GOP candidate in the 2024 presidential election. Well, probably what I'm going to say next is probably not what you really want to hear. You probably want to hear my opinion on it and everything. But I'm going to tell you what my opinion is. My opinion is that whenever people, all these legal experts, and say, well, the court should rule this way, and another legal expert says the court should rule that way. What I've learned about courts is the weather is far more predictable than courts. Far more predictable. Courts are extremely unpredictable. You cannot predict the outcome of what a court's going to say. And so you're not really going to know which way this is going to go until after the court case has been heard and everything, and it's all been done. That's when you're going to know. So I know you guys probably wanted to hear something different than that, but that's the way I see it. You know? Now, taking a look at the silver price today, $23.30 for silver today. So it's got back up above this is like a game they've been playing for the last number of months, you know. They dropped the price down 21, 22 at the lowest, you know, and then the price goes back up to about 24 and change, 24.50 or something like that, and then dropped back down again. And it's been doing this for a long time now, and it's just getting to the point where it's just totally frustrating. Maybe they want it to be frustrating. Maybe they want all of us to just say, well, I've had it. I'm taking in my silver and laying it on the counter. And that's very tempting to do right now because times are hard, you know, and people need their money now. And it's very, very tempting, especially when silver gets up around $24 or $25. But you got to keep your eyes on the big prize, on the bigger picture. Because when they're done playing this game, this is going to break. The silver market's going to break. They've been keeping the price reduced below, and mining production costs are going up. I mean, you think that mines don't buy things that are imported? And then there's another subject is, here's the thing, guys. You know about what the Houthis did by cutting off shipping and cutting off the Red Sea and the ships coming through the Red Sea. And you know from my show I did just recently, like yesterday or the day before, that it's went up, that their cost has went up 150% for the shipping companies. Guess what your cost is going to be? 250%. So they're just arbitrarily going to add on an extra 100% more when they pass the price on to the consumer. So their cost of what's going to cost them is 150% more, and they're going to make you pay 250% more for shipping. So basically what that means is if you're shipping on a box, a slow box that's coming from Hong Kong, of something you really need, right? And it's going to cost $100 for shipping. It used to cost $100 for shipping like 6 months ago. Well, let me figure that out. 150% on $100, it went up 150%. That'd be what, $250? That would be their cost, but they're adding on another 100% more. So what's that? That's like, it's going to be going from like $100 to like $300 or $400. I don't know. My brain can't keep up with it. But I know it's going to be heck of a lot more than it was before on the shipping costs, and it's going to eat into the price of the product you're buying. Maybe the thing you're buying only costs $600, $600 item, and suddenly you're faced with, used to be they'd say, okay, we'll ship it for free. Now it ain't going to be free. Now you're going to have to pay, like, maybe they'll cut the cost with you, Amazon will or something, and give you a little bit of a discount on shipping, but still it's going to be a good chunk of what the item costs because of what the Houthis have done. That ain't going to go away. I can see this protracted war getting longer and longer and bigger and sprawling out. Taking a look at the cryptocurrency prices today. You know, we're looking at Bitcoin at 43,500. Ethereum at 22.25. And XRP at 56.3 cents, it looks like. Yeah. So cryptos is doing pretty good, you know. They're hanging in there up above anything above $40,000 right now, you know. If they drop below 40,000, they'll say, uh-oh. But as long as it's hanging in there, you know, 40,000 and change, then I see potential of it heading toward 50. You know. The Dow Jones is up 87 points at 37,527. Taking a look at our crude oil today, it's up $1.40 at 73.59. So crude oil's starting to creep up again now. This is about time, considering what's going on down there and around the Persian Gulf region. Taking a look at the bonds today, we're seeing the U.S. 30-year is went up 1 basis point to 4.14. And the U.S. 10-year's dropping. It's dropped a basis point to 3.98. They're focusing on that 10-year. Trying to keep that rate under 4%, the Fed is, on the 10-year. Taking a look at U.S. dollar index is at 102.09, and it did take a little spike up earlier, but now it's dropping. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next episode. And you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.